I can't believe I'm doing this, my friend Bess Marvin muttered, poking morosely at her eggs. George Fane, my other friend and Bess's cousin, elbowed her and grinned. "It's because you love me so much," she said. "Just remember that." We were all eating breakfast at the quaint inn where our upcoming 3-day bike tour around the scenic, sprawling Mystic Lake Park was about to start. George's parents had bought the trip for all 3 of us as a birthday gift to George, and they'd come to drop us off so we wouldn't have to leave our cars. Bess wasn't exactly as thrilled about the trip as George and I were. In fact, she was distinctly unthrilled. "It'll be good for you, Bess," Mr. Fane said. "Get out of town for a few days. Get back to nature. Get some exercise." Bess sighed and looked balefully at her cousin. "Why can't you be really into outlet shopping?" she asked. "Why can't your most dearly held birthday wish be like sitting on a beach in St. Thomas for 3 days? George shook her head. "Because I'm not like you," she retorted. "Come on, Bess. This will be fun. I bet you'll end up loving it." Though they were related, Bess and George couldn't be more different from each other. George was sharp, sensible, and outdoorsy. Bess was cheerful, fashionable, and decidedly not outdoorsy. "Like I've been loving all our practice rides?" Bess asked snarkily, then couldn't help breaking into a smile. George and I both started laughing. "Come on, Bess," I said, gently nudging her. "You only cried for the first hour last time." The truth was that Bess had been a pretty good sport on the practice rides the 3 of us had taken around our hometown of River Heights. We'd started at 10 miles and worked our way up to 35, which was the length of the rides we'd be taking on the tour. I was no athlete, but I kind of liked the bike rides. It was exhilarating whooshing through the town, almost like you were flying. I'd been sore for days after the first couple of rides, but gradually I'd gotten stronger. After our last ride, I hadn't had to take even 1 aspirin. "Oh, look," said George, pointing at a tall honey-blonde girl who'd just stepped into the dining room. She was wearing bike shorts and a slim tank top, and her hair was pulled back into a sleek, low ponytail. Behind her came a boy about her age, also with honey-blonde hair, but his was cut short and matched the stubble on his face and chin. He wore a pair of cargo shorts and a baggy t-shirt that read, "A Legend in My Own Time." "I think that's Caitlin and Henry. They're twins, and they're leading the tour." Our tour was run by a business called Adventures & Company that George said ran a lot of these types of trips, but Caitlin and Henry had been featured online as the co-leaders of our particular trek. Caitlin smiled and headed toward us, gesturing for Henry, who looked less enthusiastic, to follow. "Hi, I'm Caitlin Moorhead. Are you all here for the bike tour?" "We are," said Bess, standing and offering her hand. "I'm Bess Marvin, and this is my cousin George Fane and my friend Nancy Drew." Caitlin and Henry shook each of our hands. "Welcome," said Caitlin. "I think we're going to have a lot of fun." She smiled, but I couldn't help noticing that there was something tense behind her smile. Then again, maybe I was reading too much into it. I have a tendency to do that sometimes. See, my thing is solving mysteries. My friends love to tease me about it, but they're always happy to join me in cracking a case. Together, we've snagged more than our fair share of crooks in River Heights. If there was something odd in Caitlin's expression, Mr. Fane didn't seem to notice. "I'm Russ Fane, George's dad," he said. "Nice to meet you," Caitlin said, shaking his hand. "It's beautiful up here, isn't it?" Mr. Fane smiled, but his expression quickly turned serious. "And what are the safety procedures on a trip like this?" he asked. "What if, for example, there were an emergency?" Caitlin nodded, looking unruffled. "Well, I'll always have my satellite phone with me, so we can contact emergency services even when we can't get cell service," she said. The website for the tour had made it very clear there was little, if any, cell service in the Mystic Lake region. But I've also taken several courses in first aid, including CPR and child CPR,